For me, I hope.
GG probably. It's like a fake turtleneck. It's just the neck part and it kind of tucks under
Yeah,
another
it
shirt.
stops. Yeah, you tuck it inside like
That's hilarious.
it looks like you have a turtleneck on or something.
Have you ever watched
Dick Van Dyke?
No, the science thing.
Yeah. Nice. Studies.
Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah, the guy.
Howard.
That's
He
what
always
he
has
wears.
dickies on.
That's not a.
To Cody, Wyoming. I worked hard, I worked long, because my job was to make products out of asphalt, which is the heavy part of the crude oil. And on one particular occasion, I found myself working 16 hours and then 24 hours, because chemically, reactions with asphalt are slow. And I was babysitting the reaction. And when that happens to me, my body fails like it did when I was 12 years old. And I got what's called osteomyelitis, which is inflammation of the bones. And most kids that got it at that age die. I forgot to die.
No forgetting.
I forgot to follow them. So when it reoccurred as a result of this work, I called a nurse friend up at the hospital and told her, get a bed ready for me, I need to be admitted. Now, the difference was when I was 12 and 13 and 14, I was in hospital. There were no penicillin, there were no drugs at that time. But now we had penicillin. So I was in and out of the hospital a couple of days. And one of the days when I was out, I called up my nurse friend at the hospital because I had just bought a new car. And I thought it'd be nice to take her for a drive. And she said, fine, but may I bring some friends? Sure. So I picked them up at the hospital. There was Maxine, which was my girlfriend at the time, and 3 others. And so I thought I'd give them a nice drive in my new car up to the reservoir. We went up, and then on the way back, instead of staying on the highway, which you came on, I came on the other side of the river where there's a dirt road. I thought I would take them on the dirt road and be able to show them the old geyser cones there and the calcium carbonates deposit and so forth. But I hadn't gone along because if you notice it, and you will when you go home now, it's a narrow, gravelly road, very narrow, and you look down and what do you see? The river. And they began to get concerned and a little bit on the screamy side.
Could have been your
driver. Let's stop. Let's turn around. Well, if you notice that road, it's straight, and there's one place where it goes down to the power plant, and that is a place where you can try to make a turn for 180. And what I did, I hung up. On that. So I got out on my hands and knees, and was looking. I felt this movement on my side, and I looked over, and gee whiz, there was this blonde on her hands and knees, and she had on, I can remember the vision, blue jeans and a cowgirl shirt. And she was helping me solve this problem. Well, subsequently, at the end of the car, I got to tell you, the vision I had was Maxine. There she was. She was Italian, she had dark eyes, dark hair, nice figure. She was wearing a fur coat and high heels. And here this one was with a cowgirl shirt and jeans. That contrasting vision stayed with me a long time. Ultimately, of course, I stopped any interest in Maxine and began to date this nurse. this med tech. She was a med tech. Whose name was Joanne. And as time went on, we became rather acquainted and understood each other and shared our humor and our love of the outdoors together. But what would happen here is that I could feel myself falling in love. You ever have that feeling? Falling in love?
Only once.
Good answer.
And soon I was dating her several times a week. Then got to the point where I thought, this is the person I would like to spend the rest of my life with, Joanne. So I asked her to marry me. She said no. Every time I asked her, she said no. She never said yes. But ultimately, through some trickery on my part, I got her to say, I do. And that started a 63-year journey through life, bringing 5 kids and wonderful relations and relatives. Okay, why wouldn't she marry me? Good question, huh? She was Lutheran and I was Catholic. Her grandfather was a Lutheran minister. And therefore, she felt she couldn't bring me home to meet her folks and indicate that we were going to get married, but we did anyway. And how it happened was that before that, as she had said no several times, it was decided we should break up. And so she went to Billings and worked in the lab there, and I stayed in Cody and worked there. But at that time, I was buddies with 2 other good friends, and maybe 3 out of 4 weekends we would go fishing together. But now, with Joanne up there in Billings, I couldn't go fishing with them anymore because I just had to go up to Billings. This continued for a while until one weekend she came down to see her girlfriends at the hospital, and maybe me too. And I learned that a good friend of mine whose father owned the jewelry shop was going to be on duty that afternoon at the shop. I told him I would sure like to bring Joanne over, and I'd love it if you would show her some rings. He said fine. And that's what happened. I took her across the street to where, what's his name? Helga. His name was Helga, where Helga was. And yeah, he pulled out a tray of rings, and I asked him, do you like any? I think I'd like this one. Well, do you want to keep it? Then, I think she said yes. So by mutual expression, we became engaged. And then in February of that year, my fishing buddy friend and I took 2 sets of snowshoes and we went up the North Fork, up further from here, and the snow was about this high. And we took food and snowshoes. We cached the snowshoes in the snow by the road, brought the rest of the stuff up to the cabin, and then went home. So the next day, after the ceremony, which was brief, Joanne and I hopped in the car, we went up, put the snowshoes on, went into the cabin, and that's where we spent what you would call the honeymoon. Then over the years, as the children came, the kids were all good kids, and we began to do things like building kayaks and planning trips, and I made a canoe, and I got a motor for it. And we would, as the kids grew, we would plan trips to a lake up here. was it Long Lake?
Lewis?
No, it's not Long Lake. Next to Long Lake, Island Lake. And we would have our outdoor fun there. Okay. All right.
That's just stop.
Well, let's see.
We're at Island Lake.
No, like this, look.
I think there were probably a number of things I could tell you about it, but we had some accidental happy times, such as when I was working with Bechtel, I got an assignment in New York, and the term there was such that I'd be there long enough for Bechtel to give me a ticket to go home for a weekend and then back. And I thought that was crazy. I'd be spending the weekend in the airplane. So I arranged for her to get the ticket, but she came to New York. So we did what you do in New York, you go here, there, and so forth. At Prometheus Bound, the great statue down by the ice rink, you know that one? You're from New York and New York. Anyway, there we did a couple of interesting things. We went to St. Patrick's. It was a Sunday. Went to St. Patrick's for Mass, and we heard Reverend Vincent Sheen. Anyway, the talk there impressed us. Then we went to the ice arena, and we had locks, which we don't get much in Wyoming. And then after locks, we went to the Presbyterian church, and there we heard Reverend Vincent Peel, was the name. Sheen was the Catholic, Peel was the other guy. They both gave the same talk. And so they were sharing their stuff together. Well, we did New York, and got back, and I got another assignment. There's probably a million things that I'd like to tell you. We had an adventure on Lewis Lake in the park here, where we started off in the canoe. It's beautiful. We got to the other side, the wind started picking up like it does from Idaho, and pretty soon there were whitecaps. There was no way I would take her across than that. At that time we weren't even married. So what else did we do? Good.
Yay, Grandpa! Let's hear it for Grandpa.
I know there were a number of other things I wanted to tell you about that.
How do you want to start with the other couples in the group?
Yeah,
Huh?
move on through the rest of the group.
You wanted, who's going to go next, Dad?
I was trying to remember some more for you, but maybe I should.
No, you're gonna say it.
Well, you suggested other people would tell
I
you.
know what I.
Cut that, Tobias. Cut that part out.
Yeah.
Dad, I love you.
Well, anyway, I told you the part. I wanted you to know how we met at the hospital, how we met by the car at the gravel road. Oh, after she helped me, I could see that it wasn't a bad problem, but I needed a shovel. Well, this was the road going down to the power plant, and here came a guy who wanted to go to the power plant, and I was with his way. Well, he had a shovel, so we shoveled out. We got back on the regular road. That saved that day. But from then on, whenever I could, I would try to get a date with her, but I could never get a date on Tuesdays or Thursdays. I found out later that one of my two good fishing buddies was dating her on those days. No, think, Odasz.
Kenny
Think.
Harris.
There's Saturday, isn't there? Well, I arranged that Saturday I would have a day-long date rather than just an evening date. And that's what turned the tide to the point where I eventually asked her about marriage. And as I told you, she said no.
Shall we have a group score? Ready? Everybody? Yeah! All right!
Frank and
Woo!
Anyway,
Dad, awesome! Yay, Odasz!
to sum it up, we had 4 kids in Cody and 1 in California. And we worked hard to teach them the right things about life and custom and heritage, and that's what has led to today that we're celebrating the heritage that eventually expanded to my brothers and sisters, to all of you wonderful people. Now, who's next? I guess you're standing here.
Yes,
How do you
David.
two meet? Good job, Dad. Good job.
We love you, Natasha.
All right. Well, our story is pretty simple. I think
Speak loud so Grandpa can
some of
hear
you have heard the story, but I'll retell it. So, I was working with this Colombian movie star and doing business development in South America, and it was kind of challenging situation, but we danced a lot, and we had a friend who was the best still is the best Latin singer in South Florida. So one night I was going out to do some work, and she called me. She said, "You know, I've got some friends. We want to go dancing, and the greatest singer, you know who he is? He's singing at this real dump. But don't worry, even though it's a dump, you'll really have a good time because we're just going to dance." So I really actually wasn't going to go. I was driving out to do this work with this other guy, and I said, "You know what? I could use some dancing." So I turned around, drove there, and then when they were coming in, she was with her friends. They couldn't find the place. So they called me, "We can't find it, we're going to leave." And I said, "No, wait a minute. I just drove here an hour, and I'm standing in front with a big green shirt. You're not leaving. And if you leave, we're not working together anymore." So they somehow saw me. We all went in, and the 3 girls were sitting there, and they were beautiful girls. And I had 2 guys, and we were there to dance. So I asked this girl to dance, and bachata, if you don't know bachata, bachata is the dirty dancing of...
Oh, no, it's not that dirty.
You want to demonstrate bachata?
Yes. It's okay, make it up. Just do it. Sing it.
Come on. Right on,
All right.
cowboy.
So bachata,
She's
bachata,
she'll
just so
find
you
music.
know, it's a very simple 4-step dance sideways, and you're very close together.
We want to see it.
And then you spin and you dip, and it's a very close,
Lady.
romantic, sexually excited moment that comes from Dominican Republic, actually. But is more popular in South America than Dominican Republic. Plus, they dance it better. So I'm dancing, and this girl goes out here. And I was like, "What's wrong with you?
No.
You don't dance this dance out here." "Oh, no, I feel comfortable." I'm like, "I don't." So this went on, and then she kept saying no and dancing with the other guys to salsa. So finally, I was losing my mind. I came all the way up here. Great music, and can't dance. So I turned around, and my waitress is standing right there. She said, "You want something?" I said, "Yes, I want to dance with you." She said, "Well, what? Do you dance with me?" So that was Lady. Puts the tray down.
I get to take a video of this.
This is great.
Where is it?
Crank up the lead. The sound.
David, it's romantic.
Crank it up all the way. Wait, I don't get the sexual part yet. Come on, David, get into it. You're holding her out here, man. There you go. Oh, that's great. And ladies, to think an American man can do that.
Yes.
They don't hear you anymore.
She knows.
We have disappeared.
Whatever.
Let's just do this for the next hour and a half.
Next.
Are you guys dancing there?
No, we're not dancing. Yay, how nice to see your mommy, huh?
I'm gonna dance bachata, but not like that. It's obviously different.
Very sexy.
That happened. And that's how it all started.
No, wait, we're not done yet.
All right, well,
He's barely begun. He just met her.
well, I just met her,
That was
so
first dance.
I was leaving that night, and I saw her outside, and I said, you know,
I like you.
it was good. She says, where do you live? I go, I live in Boca Raton. Oh, you live very far away. Too far away. I'm like, no, really. I drive fast. She said, no, I don't know, you know. So I left. But then I kept thinking about it, and I knew that the other situation had to be terminated. So I drove back up, and I saw her pretty much once a week, but I didn't ask her out because I was just trying to configure in my mind how this was all going to work. And then one day I had to go work in Barranquilla, Colombia, and you know, I had to go work with that girl. We went on the airplane, and I just said, you know what, when I get off this airplane on the way back, I'm going right to Green Acres. So I got back and I texted her, she didn't answer. I called her, she didn't pick up.
No, she asked me for my number phone, but he never called me. 2 months, 3 months.
Oh, you're kidding. You gave him the wrong number?
No.
No, he never called my mom when she gave her my number.
I just would go up there and see her.
Oh.
So, because the truth was that I really hadn't been dating for years since I got divorced. So this was kind of like a new thing for me again. It was like being back a teenager. So when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to do this, I got off the airplane and I just drove up there, and I asked the owner if she was there, and he said, well, she's not working, she's in the back at a party. So I went back to the party, and there were all these girls, and there she was. And I said, you know, I texted you. She said, no, you didn't. And I called you. No, you didn't. I said, pick up your phone. She said, what do you want? You never call me. You never text. I said, I want to go out with you. She said, well, when? Now I can't go out with you. I go, why? But I want to go out with you. But I can't go out with you. But what happened? It's my friend's birthday tonight. I said, what about tomorrow night? But I want to go out tonight. But you just said we can't go out tonight. So we went out the next day, and then we went out the next day, and then, you know, we went, I took her to the Japanese park and gardens. I lived in Japan to see how she would like it. She actually dressed up with the Japanese hairstyle and earrings, and we walked in these beautiful gardens, the Zen gardens, and she said, I love the nature. And I'm like, you got to be kidding, right? Because I could never find anyone that really liked that. So then we went out dancing again. Of course, that was natural. And then we took Geraldine, she had a daughter. So I took them to Lion Country Safari to see the animals and listen to her sing. And it just was so good that, you know, a month later, or actually the next year, she was pregnant with Natasha, and she had to get a horrible operation on her arm, so we didn't get married until the insurance had paid for it. And then we got married in Boca Raton. Very close to my parents. I wanted my parents to be there while they're healthy, and even though my dad today is not healthy. The wedding was a big fiesta. We had gringos, we had Colombians, Venezuelans. I mean, it was a dancing party like you can't imagine. And I heard about it from everybody that they had so much fun, and then our marriage has been so much fun. So never a day goes by unless we're having a punctuation by Natasha.
No, but it's funny, but when we make Natasha.
Don't give her pulse.
Natasha, don't do that. Put it out.
In this one, I feel that I'm pregnant. We made Natasha, and my inside say, I am pregnant. By myself say, no, impossible. It's only 2 hours later.
What happened?
When I make my baby, in this moment, I feel pregnant. But myself saying, no, impossible, only two hours before, it's impossible. I feel pregnant. pregnant. Okay. I was maybe 2 weeks, but I never made the test, nothing. But I told my friend, I think I was drowned. I went here, drink. I think my pregnant. My friend, yeah? No, you need to go to buy now the test. No, impossible. She said, yeah, let's go. And David, he was drowned too. We both 5 tests. 5. The best. Very drunk. Very. I'm pregnant. No more. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm pregnant. Oh my God. I'm crazy. Because I came pregnant. No. So, baby. He said, what happened? I pregnant. But listen, I don't abort, okay? Because I am Christian. And if you don't want the baby, okay, don't. Okay, go. Bye-bye. Say, no. Let me, yeah, I want the baby, okay. But he always, because when the Geraldine was very hard.
And it was
But he
very
was
funny
very,
when they tell
he was very scared.
Tell them when you remember that time when you guys were Come on, tell them. You tell them.
You tell it.
No, you
Tell it.
Oh, my.
Remember when you see
on,
for first time, Davy?
So I was in my room, right?
Ah,
I was in my room.
because
Stand up, Grandpa has to hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Oh my God. Sorry. So cool. So I was in my room, right? And I was just playing with my iPad. And then my mom gets home because she went to, what's the place? What's the name of the place that you went to? Japanese place? Yeah, they went to Murakami, right? And so when they got home, David gave me a present. And then my mom, I think it was 7 or 8. And they were sitting down, right? And so I was in my room and my mom yelled my name. So I came out and then she's like, so we gotta tell you something. I'm like, why? She's like, well, you're gonna have a sister. And I'm like, are you serious right now? I was in shock because I was an older daughter. I never thought that my mom would have another baby because at the time I was 11, right? I was like, yeah, I was 11, so I was in shock. I was really in shock, and I got very happy. I cried too. I cried because I was super excited.
Just to finish our story, the last thing you should tell us, what happened when you thought she was going to have the baby but didn't?
Oh my!
the what?
So we were watching TV, right? It was I think it was 10 at night, and my mom felt something. Now her belly was this big. It was super big. So my mom was like, I think my water broke. And I started running. I was like, where's the suitcase? And I started packing clothes and everything. And then when we went to the hospital, they said that her water didn't break. And I was just like, are you serious?
But the funny thing was, she was so nervous. She was running downstairs, back upstairs, downstairs.
When you saw
Oh, no. Yeah. Wait. What were you saying?
You're running upstairs, running downstairs, running
Yes,
upstairs.
I was so excited.
Hurry up, you guys. We have to have the baby. Let's go. I'll give you the keys. I'll drive.
It was pretty funny. And then I saw how my mom had the baby. It wasn't fun. It was just it was something new that I've never seen before.
Yeah, we were all there for the delivery.
Yeah.
But so that's the story of how we met.
Bravo! Cody, you on deck? I can go up there.
Oh man, my new favorite cousin. Oh my gosh.
Well done, David.
Sea kayaking and
Fantastic.
crab fishing. That was sweet. David,
Where do I start?
come here. You guys are so cute.
Actually, I met Karen in the spring, or actually the fall of 1988. It was a sunny, warm day. I was coming across the campus of Chico, the Rose Garden, and I saw a mutual friend of mine, Darren. And with Darren, he had Karen. And they were walking across campus, and I said hello to my fraternity brother and kind of looked at her, didn't pay much attention to her, had blind in one eye and couldn't see out of the other at the time, but so that's when I first saw her, when I first really got to know her, meet her. I was at Joe's bar and with my fraternity brothers,
once again, and Karen happened to be our cocktail waitress.
Oh. Oh. Okay, another waitress.
So again, we got this waitress theme going on. I knew there was a connection. I didn't ask her to dance because I can't dance, but I did ask her out. And,
Wow. The same thing.
I asked her out that night, and I said, "Would you like?"
When you on the ground?
Yes. I said, "Would you like to have dinner?" And she said, "No." And I was, looked like this, and I walked away, and my fraternity brothers were laughing, right? And then she taps me on the shoulder, and she says, "Come back." She says, "You didn't let me finish. I have to work tomorrow night." Oh. So I said, "How about the next night?" And she agreed. And as we had a few more cocktails that night, I proceeded to really make an impression on her by knocking a tray of drinks out of her hand. But nevertheless, I still had the matchbook that had her phone number on it. And I came back the next night.
You still have it?
I do not. But I came back the next night, and I said I was in here with my brothers, and I made pretty much a fool of myself, and I'd still like to have dinner with you tomorrow night. And the fact was that I cooked for her. So that was the hook.
Whoa.
What'd you cook? Eddie, what'd you cook?
So the Friday night she came over and had dinner with me. I made her chicken, and I made her potatoes and carrots. And
Some kind of real food. I was a college student. I was eating frozen yogurt for dinner. I'm in love with this guy.
So we proceeded to date for a few months, and we had our first trip down to Half Moon Bay, and we met Mom and Pop, and I took Karen along the Highway 1, all of the nice places that I like to take, family members and friends, and I guess I still continue to make an impression with her there. And fast forward, we ended up graduating in the spring of '89, and from there, we took some jobs that were not too important to us, and we decided at that point in time that we weren't sure if we were going to get married or not. We knew that we had a special connection, but we weren't sure where we were. And so we decided to quit these jobs, and we took a 10-week trip across the United States to travel.
Wow.
So we spent $100 on a camper shell and put it on the back of her truck, and we proceeded to drive across the United States. And as luck would have it, one of our trips, we came through the Grand Tetons, and Karen, I'm gonna turn it to you there, babe.
Yeah, so we're engaged and we're driving around the whole country, but I'm still not.
We're engaged.
No, we were engaged. We were engaged at the time. I had a ring on my finger, but both of my parents have been divorced twice, and I was like, I don't really know if marriage forever is really a thing. But then we started driving around, and I started realizing that I can actually be with one person for 24 hours, and it's possible. And then we went into the Grand Tetons and saw all this amazing scenery, and camped, maybe the second night of our camping trip in the Tetons, saw all these amazing, beautiful animals, and set up our tent, and as soon as we set up our tent, it started pouring rain. And I ducked inside the tent, and he went out there with his little hoe or whatever he had and dug all these trenches all around the tent to keep me dry. And that was when I decided I was going to marry him.
As part of that trip, this is way before GPS. I could not read a map to save my life, and we used an atlas to come through the Tetons to here. We spent time with Uncle Frank and Aunt Joe. This was 26 years ago. Yes. And
1990.
so we ended up proceeding to doing a trip across the United States.
Yeah, we stayed here.
Yeah, we did a trip across the United States, and we came back, and we got married, and we've been married, it'll be 25 years, August 31st. So. That's how we met. Simple, but all right.
Very good.
On your note.
Congratulations.
You're not Natasha. No.
How about that?
Can I get a hug?
She's so cute.
Yeah. Where to start? Where to end?
Oh yeah, this is a great story.
That's really slippery. You shouldn't do that.
My dad says that he's got 4 kids from Cody and 1 from California, but I was the one who grew up in Wyoming, in Casper. Well, yeah, you did. You grew up there. And I'm as true blue redneck as they come. I got lucky. I got to go to Arizona to go to school. Spent some time down there. But at that point, there was no work in Wyoming. So a buddy of mine got a job in a tire store in Fresno. And 5 of us from Casper all moved out to Fresno. And we were pretty wild young bucks back then, I gotta tell you. Spent some time in Fresno. I moved around from a couple firms and I met Dawn. And I'm a pretty good judge of people and personalities, and she is solid gold. I could tell from the beginning. And so we dated, you know, for a while, but nothing was solidified like that. And eventually I was pretty ambitious. I wanted to move to San Francisco and get a job in the big city. And her friends were all telling her, he's gone forever. And at one point I asked her, I said, okay, I'm on the wild side, she's on the conservative side. I asked her, would you go with me? And that was the pivotal moment. It was the biggest leap of faith by any human being I've ever met at that point. Because she knew it was yes or no. If it was no, she'd never see me again. If it was yes, she had no idea what was going to happen from that point on. So we decided to move to San Francisco, and we both got jobs. We put our portfolios together, we went and got jobs. But we said, before we start, let's take your brand new car to Mexico on a big road trip. And it was an Isuzu Impulse with about 2.5 inches of clearance on it. And we went down there and we thought it'd be really easy to get an apartment in San Francisco, right? There's a million buildings, but it's super expensive. I mean, they wanted first month, last month, and deposit. It was like $3,000, and we didn't even have that kind of money, no way. So we found this 2nd floor apartment in this row house by the Rice-A-Roni houses at Alamo Square. And the people liked us, and they let us move in for like $100. And Dawn's like, well, I think we should still look around a little bit more. I'm like, I'm cutting a check right now, man. We're moving in there. So anyway, we were not yet married at that point. We were still on the test drive. But we came out here to go on a backpack trip. And Grandpa was there. My big brother Frank was there. We went up in the Beartooths. And that's where I actually got down on a knee and proposed, where she hadn't had a shower or washed her hair or brushed her teeth in 3 days.
After you drugged me up to the top of a waterfall.
And she still looked really good at that point. And so she said yes, and we got married. And you know, I think she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. We just had our 24th anniversary, and we have our 25th coming up this next year. But mainly, I think I've got a good role model as far as how to be in a marriage and how to love one person your whole life. And watching Mom and Dad all these years, I drive her crazy. Y'all know that. Like, I was almost on the verge these last couple of days. But I think today I pulled it back around and we're okay again. Yeah, but anyway, I found the one girl for me for my whole life, and Dawn and I are forever, and that's the way it is. Bravo!
Bravo!
There you go.
Oh my God.
Who's next? John, how about you? It's all there.
Yeah, Bonnie.
Stop moving.
Blood Odasz.
Thanks for saying that.
Well, I could have gone on forever.
Yeah, this is a California. I make it really fair because you saw the role model thing.
Sorry, babe. I don't remember how we started out.
I do. I love honesty.
No,
I don't.
We were in high school together. We had a bunch of us all got together. And you kind of were dating Wanda, right?
You don't know?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was kind of my best friend. And between the two of us, we decided that he was mine. I don't know if you knew that. Anyway, we were together for a few years, high school sweeties, and I went my separate way. I'm being honest, right? Okay. At least this is what he tells me. Is that I left
me to the curb.
And then I didn't hear anything from him, didn't know where he went. That's not quite true. Because his youngest brother worked at the store down the street from me. So I'd ask. And that finally he told me that John got married. And that was 9 years after we graduated. That was it. Within a year I was married. I was married for a couple years, got divorced. And so I kind of kept trying to Facebook, find out where he's at and everything, and then
Stalkers.
yeah, kind of.
It wasn't Facebook at that time.
This is only a couple years ago.
It's like 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Sorry, never mind.
Remember they graduated, went away?
And then you found me, right?
No, because you went to the reunion with Vance.
Yeah.
And then,
No, wait, let's not start any arguments. Move forward now.
I went to a high school reunion, not a regular one, but the band one. And one of his other brothers was there. And so we chit-chatted, da-la-la-la-la. He gave me more information on him, and I don't know what happened, but after a while, a couple years after that, is through Facebook, somehow, we hooked back up, and he's been back ever since. I'm not letting him go. Not this time. Even though my kids say, Mom, it's so much better with just the two of us, the three of us. It's like, no, we need a man in the house. He's staying. You guys are moving out.
No.
Did you say that?
Yeah. I did, and that's all.
Yeah.
Look at they're loving him sweet. They're loving him up.
My daughter's taking up too much
I don't remember anything.
It's not all. You guys got all these exciting things. Okay.
Come on, Mom.
What grade were the girls in? Second?
What?
The girls were in second grade?
What am I going to list last 12
It was
Make something
We're
up.
not going to fact check.
This is three.
Last 12 guys.
Okay, we don't want this is campfire lie time, so make
So
something
my
up.
daughter, Leanna, and his daughter, Christine, were friends in school. They were like second grade.
Good sex, but you know.
My daughter, Leanna, and Mitch's daughter, Christine, were friends in school. And so it was like, can we go to Christine's house, or can Christine come to our house? And so they were friends, and I met his ex-wife first, and then we were friends for a while, and the kids hung out and everything, and then he came and picked his daughter up one time, and I met him. I thought he was cool. He thought he was so cool. He wasn't. You don't remember that when I lived on the side park? Yeah. And then... What did you say?
Nothing. She'll get a smoke.
Anyways, so that's how we met, and the girls were friends, and so the girls hung out together, and then I ended up babysitting his children for him for how long? His children, okay? Not him. And that was it. And then we got together after that.
But we didn't get married for 15 years.
Yeah, we didn't get married until, yeah.
Wow.
Test drive.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so we have all these kids, and now they're all
Okay.
That's it.
Well, here, how about our Ike
Oh, these
Tobias?
Alicia, I want you to get up too.
Okay, well, I told this story last night, and it was a terrible
Performance.
performance.
I see you next to me. Are you saying something?
Not yet.
So, okay, the story begins with the winter of 2 years ago.
Speak loudly for Brad.
2014, I think. And I was skiing with some friends up in the mountains, and this lovely woman who was kind of a spectacle in the town, kind of a legend myth.
BS.
was there skiing with us one day, and I knew that she would never even talk to me. I mean, I'm sure she was nice, but she never would talk to me because I was not close to the caliber of athlete as she is. And so I was just goofing around with my friends, making a fool out of myself in front of her.
And I was like, workout.
A month passed, and we entered a race together. I didn't know that she was racing, but she was, and we lined up together on the start line, and the gun went off, and we skied together. I started out ahead, and I think I was with the lead group, and then I started to fall back, and then her and her girlfriend passed me, and they said some mean comment to me how slow I was. They're like, "Oh, come on, what's wrong with you?"
We were just having fun passing all these guys.
Yeah. So then I kind of started to slow down a little bit, but eventually by the end of the race I caught back up, and I was the first person to not get past.
The last person
to not get passed by Elishka that day, and I think if I hadn't passed her, then it probably wouldn't have happened.
We'd probably have to enter another race and do it again.
So we spoke briefly afterwards, and I thought she was pretty cute.
And I saw him in tights, and I was like,
just tights on.
That'll do it every time.
Okay.
Man in tights.
So,
ballerina thing gets me on.
Anyway, one thing led to the next, and we were skiing together, and I asked her for a beer one day, and that happened, and then we started to see each other, and eventually I realized that this girl kicks my butt at every single thing I do. So I'm going to marry her so she can keep kicking my butt. Yeah, so I got my best buddy to set up the proposal. I told him to call me at exactly 8 at exactly 8 one night and tell me some lie about having to go to the mall. There's this famous mall downtown where if you haven't been to Boulder, and you ask someone who's there, who's been living there, they say you got to go here. So everyone knows it, and it's one of those places that there's a great vibe around it, and I love to drive the main street, and there's a stoplight right where the mall crosses, and I love hitting that red light and being able to see everybody walk across, and sometimes I see my friends and stuff like that. So it was a kind of special place for me, and lots of people knew about it. So we decided to walk from one end. It's like 4 or 5 blocks. So and the place I want to propose is right in the middle. So we started on one end and we walked, and my friend made up a stupid story that he had to go buy a Christmas present for his dad, he wanted to get him a fedora or something, which is ridiculous. And Alishka was freaking out because it was 2 days from Christmas and all the stores were closed already.
And I'm like, and you're late, and it's too late at night to get a gift, and everything's closed, and you're not gonna have anything for your dad. It's just horrible. I was so mad at him. Yeah, I was stressed.
But anyway, we walked along. All the shops were closed. There were only a few people around on the street, and it was a cold night. We had jackets on, and we got to the crosswalk, and you have the walker guy and then the hand that blinks. So I waited for a second until the hand got to 12, and then we walked across, and I walked really slowly. But Alishka hates that because in the Czech Republic, the cars don't wait for you.
If you're not fast enough, they just ride you over.
So, anyway, walked really slowly until there were 3 seconds left. We were at the middle of the crosswalk, and that's when I went down and asked her, and she kept walking. She looked back, she was like, "What are you doing?" And we only had 3 seconds, so she was freaked out, and she said yes.
I really said it just so the cars don't ride us over. Kidding.
So I was a little flustered too, and I put the ring on the right hand. There were cars stopped at the light, and they probably thought that I was a total noob. But I got on her finger and stood up, and then we embraced each other and kissed as the light turned green.
For the
cars
cars.
started honking.
And I was like, ah! Freaking out.
That's sweet. Get out of the way.
We'll never know.
And Soren was there.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we had a nice ceremony about 4 months later, and
We made everybody to hike 1 hour up to the mountain top, and we got married up there. It was really fun. We had many sweaty people at the wedding. These two were the most sweaty.
and I guess love is a risk no matter what. You can't predict anything, but you can feel in your heart. So I went for it.
Good job.
Now, does anyone else have this type of story to share?
I think that's
No.
the last one.
Oh, well.
I think that's the last one.
Okay.
That's it.
That was beautiful.
I'll tell you two shorties.
What about Natasha?
First, you notice this sign? That was given to me by your mother. Your mother. Your mother sent this sign.
Well, I gotta put my Levi's on. Oh, yeah?
And the reason was,
Put your Levi's
one day Joanne was doing photography out in front. She came around the back, and at that corner, she saw right where you are a huge grizzly bear. So she turned around and got back inside. From that window, she took several pictures. But when your mother heard about that, she gave that as a presentation. But I have one other to tell you.
Aunt Eileen.
When you came in this place, you passed through the most expensive gate in Wyoming. Now, what's that story? When Joanne and I got back to Wyoming from Houston, Texas, we thought we'd like to have a cabin in the mountains. Years ago when I was here, I put in for a cabin at a site about 20 miles up, and I was awarded it. But I didn't like the idea of being so close to other cabins, so I turned it back. But now, it was different. Let's see if we can find a cabin site. So she arranged with a local realtor to show her place after place after place, none of which she liked. Finally the realtor said, well, I have one other place to show you. And he drove her up to that gate, which was locked. Well, as soon as he stopped, she was out. She was past the gate. She was through the fence. She was up to the front door. And she was in awe. With every step that she took, I could see the price of this place going up. $1,000 a sight. But I will use a trick that I think you would use, and that is I bet his price, which was high, but, no, wait a minute. He offered a price, and I said, I'll match it less a little bit because I will pay you a good interest rate. And the interest rate was the persuader. He took that. And of course, within a few years, I paid the whole damn thing off and got rid of the high interest rate. When I look at that as the most expensive gate on the North Fork.
Just because Mommy was so excited to find her. This is Mom's cabin. She was so excited to find a place like this. This is the Washakie Wilderness, right here. And the Shoshone National Forest. It's right on the edge of the wilderness. And it has electricity and water.
She painted all the stuff around here. She painted that view out the front window.
Yeah.
That creek and those trees.
We all have multiple pictures that she's painted.
Somebody must have locked it.
Yeah.
Back window's probably open.
No.
Still alive.
Making an engine. We're screwed. Yeah, we got rocks. We got Jesse.
Go get a spray.
Dad, why don't you tell a story of when Mom saw the bears, or did you already do that?
He just did that.
Just missed it. It's on the video.
I missed it.
What, the keys are locked inside?
You can't break into it? Have you ever been asked to tell a story? What was I saying about Subway?
Positive. That's where I always leave the keys.
How is that possible? Like, the newer cars, you can't lock them unless you're outside of the push the button.
The rock throwers are going down here.
He probably takes them out of the ignition and puts them in the gas.